rotate your phone. It says rotate the phone.
Okay. Is it better, Karen?
Hi, good morning. My name is Haiti and I am a compulsive overeater. I'm a binger, I'm a purger, I am a drug addict and a food addict in recovery. And we get together, welcome to Why Wait for Recovery, and we get together twice a week to discuss recovery and how it's possible and what it looks like. So when we speak at Why Wait for Recovery about addiction, it can be anything that we are addicted to. It can be food, gambling, smoking, alcohol, drugs, anything that when we're thinking about it, it's all that we can think about, and it becomes that obsessive thinking that's all that we focus on. One is too many, 1,000's never enough. We can never ever get enough of that substance that we're relying on to change how we're feeling, rather than just being present and enjoying the moment. So today I'm flying solo. I don't have my friend Felice with me, and we wish her better. Hope you're feeling better, doll. So we usually have conversations. We have people who join us either in the room in Davie, we're in South Florida. If you're local, come on down. People also join us in our virtual waiting room or Zumba room, or however you want to call it. You go to WEIGHT.net, and you can hop into our virtual room and you can join in on the conversation. People join us from all around the world. So food addiction isn't really, we focus on the food addiction because that is the most insidious and most difficult one to understand, because every other addiction looks so much worse than the food addiction. You know, we always have that thinking we can start on Monday and we see food addiction as a diet and we see it as a way of restricting. And if we're good enough or have enough willpower, then we can be successful. But for many of us, we know that that's not the issue, because if it was just about the food and we took the food out of the picture, we'd never have a problem, and the first diet that we tried would absolutely work. So I've tried every single diet under the sun. I have been, over my lifetime, I've gained and lost probably 600 pounds. I also had bariatric surgery because I thought it was a quick fix. You know, for me, when I went into, and it's not everyone's story, I was very, very ill. I was very overweight. I was very miserable. I was so unhappy, and I thought if I was thin, things would be fantastic. My life would be perfect. But what I forgot in that equation is I'd been thin before, and things were still not perfect, and I'm still not happy. So it really isn't about how I look on the outside, even though I think that if I feel how you look, I'm going to feel perfect. So there were a couple of things that came out. So bear with me, because this is a little disconcerting sitting here by myself, so I'm just trying to get centered as well. I've always felt different than other people. You know, starting as a little kid, no matter where I was, I always felt different. I was that white Jewish girl growing up in apartheid South Africa, which isn't a reason why I am a food addict. I just think that it just is part of my story and part of my journey. Part of being in recovery is starting to learn to understand ourselves. You know, the things that make us, or the reasons why we react and do certain things, and that becomes our go-to behaviors, rather than being happy and joyful, but relying on those same things over and over again that takes us to the same places. And you know, for many of us, and for me, I can only talk from my story, I've done so much research out there. I have done that research what that research looks like is continuing doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and still coming back to that same place, and then beating myself up, because the end of that story always comes out, I'm not good enough, I can't do it, why aren't you able to do it, you don't deserve to do it, no one loves you, or I don't love myself. And you know, the crazy thing is, I'm one of the most nurturing, giving, loving people around for everybody else, except when it comes to me. You know, I put myself in a different place, and I hold myself to different standards than what I hold other people to. And that's part of my struggle, you know, that's part of my learning. And that's part of the reason that I come here and participate in these meetings, because I learn from everyone who shares. So I thought today we could try and do something a little bit different. You know, I'm a compulsive overeater, and I had to go through kind of like an inventory list of what that looked like to be able to say, yes, I definitely am. So we actually have a bookmark that we developed, and it's got different questions on it. And I actually answered yes to every single question, and it's not everybody's story, but it is mine. So the first question is, I have been a serial dieter with success and demoralized with failures. That's me. I reward myself with food. After milestones, I deserve a meal out. And you know, that funny and that weird and that sick thing about rewarding with food is something that I did to my kids. You know, we go to the doctor. If you get a shot, I'll get you ice cream. And not only that, I use my kids as tools to feed my addiction. So when I wanted something, don't you feel like something through the drive-through? And I would schlep them through the drive-through and justify that I was doing it because of them, when in fact it was really because of myself. So I started building a culture in my family that food becomes the pivotal way of rewarding people or punishing people, because I would punish myself with food too. You know, I would do that just one and open up a bag and end up finishing everything because I'm the addict. I can't stop. My husband can't stop. He can have one of something and be done. I have to have all of it, and not only all of it, everything in the store, because that's how I think. One's never enough, and I just cannot get enough of it. I wouldn't look after myself. I would skip meals. You know, for me, self-care isn't, food for me is a way of controlling my world, or I believe it's a control thing, until I realized that I'm really powerless. But I would skip meals. So I wouldn't eat breakfast, and I wouldn't eat lunch, and then I'd just be eating nonstop like a shark from late at night until from whatever time in the evening, or justify why I can pick up that junk or my trigger foods, or those foods that really keep me in active addiction when I'm not abstaining from them. And I would justify it, and I'd tell everyone around me, well, I haven't eaten all day, that's why I have to. And sometimes I would eat, and I'd still justify it and lie and lie and lie and say, well, I haven't eaten enough today, or I haven't eaten today. I eat because I get stressed and anxious. You know, for me, I eat not because I'm hungry. I eat because I am trying to mask something, or cover up something, or numb myself out from something, or do something to myself so I don't need to actually deal with the reality of where I am and let myself feel. You know, I've got this warped perception that feelings are bad. You know, that for me, sitting in an emotional state, I've told myself is unhealthy and really bad for me, which is absolute bullshit. I mean, feelings are one of the things that set us apart from animals, you know, in a lot of ways. We have this whole litany of emotions that we are able to and gifted to. Even at the time, it might not seem like it, but we are gifted to be able to feel these emotions. And it's one thing that we shy away from, because you know what, looking good is so much better than feeling bad and telling people how we're really feeling, because do you know what, you might judge me, you might not like me, or you might not whatever about me. So the emotional thing for me is still a journey that I'm really on, and it's still some days it's a struggle. You know, the good emotions are easy. When I'm really happy, I'm that adrenaline junkie. I love being high. I love being on whatever things are going to make me happy. And not only do I want one, I want a million of them. You know, and for food, it was that first taste that made me really happy, and then I'd have to finish the whole cake, you know, or I'd have to finish that whole thing. And we are laughing about it because a friend of mine was a pizza delivery person. And you know, the 12 slices in a large pizza, and if you rearrange them, you can actually deliver a pizza with 11 slices in it, and people don't always count the slices. Okay, so you could actually eat it, get fed, and still deliver a whole pizza. Not that I'm saying do it, but I'm just saying, as a food addict, when I was younger and a server, I used to eat off people's plates. I mean, they used to send stuff to the kitchen. I would finish it or take it home for later or eat out of the garbage. You know, I'm an addict. So, you know, those things when we look at heroin addicts and go, oh, those people are really bad addicts. I was no different. You know, those feelings of that demoralization, that promising myself every single day, I'm not going to do this. And that shame and that guilt. Oh, why don't I have the willpower? Why can't you do it? Everyone else can. And then it ends with, well, I wish I was dead sometimes, because that's where my disease took me to. I was so sad and so miserable. I also don't feel full. I'm one of those people, I think I've got that super rubberized stomach that I can just eat and eat and eat and eat. I remember as a kid when I was 6 years old, we always used to go to the same restaurant called the Thunder Gun. It was this awesome, awesome steakhouse. And I was this little kid who ordered the big T-bone steak. I mean, we're talking thick cut, huge T-bone steak. I would finish that whole thing. I would eat dessert, and then I'd finish everyone's food on their plates. And my parents and the whole family thought this was hysterical, which is really so sad, because